All right, here we go. Let's give everyone a chance to come in. Let's go ahead and get this going. Where's Michael's probably going over? Good morning, Carrie. Oh, no problem. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some music playing to get everyone in the mood. And when that music is done, we'll go ahead and get started. It'll just be me today, so no Joel for this session. So let's get some music going. Get us into the mood. Let's do this.
In the gray stone streets of the city of Dundee lived a lass filled with spirit, fearless and free. If my nation refuses to defend my life, I will do it myself with only a knife. The poor lass from Dundee on the banks of the Tay, the law enforcers came and carried her away. For in her hand was cold steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Where are the brave men? Do any remain? The story of Dundee is a story of shame. A people and its nation have been betrayed by those who lust for money to be made. The poor lass from Dundee on the banks of the Tay, the law enforcers came and carried her away. For in her hand was cold steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Arresting the lass has only fanned the flame. Now every nation will know her name. A story and a song about the last of the free. History will remember the fearless lass of Dundee. Oh, the lass from the banks of the Tay, law enforcers have carried her away. For in her hand was steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Remember forever the lass of Dundee. Remember your nation was once safe and free before the invaders began crossing the sea. It's time to stand up for the brave lass of Dundee.
All right, good morning, Lucas. Well, we got here. Good morning, Eric, and morning, Carrie. Welcome all. As y'all can tell, it's just me today. Joel had to do some things. That song is part of a event that happened recently that has got me fired up. And it, for some reason, it just really hit home for me. And it's an issue that is happening currently in the United Kingdom. So, to give you all a quick little summary, what has happened recently? In the city of Dundee, there were 3 girls who were harassed, accosted, and one of them was hurt by a migrant, attacked by a migrant. And a video came out of the 2 girls, one of them defending her sister from this migrant who was harassing them. No physical action was taken. It was just a sister brandishing bladed weapons to defend her sister. This has become viral, and it has sparked a flame that has already been brewing in the United Kingdom. If you guys aren't really on top of what's happening, the UK is on the brink of complete collapse. We already know that freedom of speech is non-existent over there. You can literally get arrested and thrown in prison for saying anything that is deemed offensive. One guy got arrested in Scotland for praying outside of an abortion clinic. I saw a video, was it last week, of a guy getting arrested from his home because he made offensive comments on Facebook. The ongoing campaign of hoisting the colors is what's happening in England, where a lot of people are raising the St. George's Cross and the UK flag, all of it for it to be taken down by local councils. The UK is falling apart. And something that happened in Dundee, Scotland, has just caused this flame to blaze beyond imagining. Again, let's be clear. When this initially happened, we didn't have all the facts, okay? But now that a few days have passed, all the facts have come out. And as you're going to see here in a minute, the reaction is what's so shocking. Again, little girls, minors, were defending themselves. One girl was defending her sister. The reaction to that is what's so shocking. And that music you heard earlier was an AI music video that was made in tribute of her. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this. This is an awesome summary from Akkad Daily. He's a Brit. He's an Englishman. But he provides a fantastic summary of what's really happening.
Of course, we have this video of the two sisters going around. The one with the knife and the axe being the younger one, who the older sister is trying to protect from an immigrant who is filming and harassing her. Now, Basil here is right to point out, you hear the fear in their voices. I'm not sure how exactly to put this, but this is evidently not the first time that this has happened to these girls. They didn't choose one day to go out armed and then happen to coincidentally bump into a migrant who was going to harass them in the streets. This has clearly happened before. God only knows what's happened to them before, which is why they felt the need to arm themselves. So I'm not surprised that they sound terrified, frankly. And yes, she was, of course, arrested for brandishing dangerous weapons. But, of course, the migrants are just fed to the wolves, as Charmaine here points out. And this was in Scotland as well. This wasn't even in England. But this is just the reality of being in Britain. And, in fact, Europe more broadly, but I'll cover that again tomorrow on the podcast. The authorities are here to make sure you are under control. They don't really see the new arrivals as being under their legitimate authority. They've got their own customs. They've got their own ways. They have a different way of looking at the world, and you are a racist. So you are the one who's policed because you, is expected, will cooperate with the police.
So isn't that crazy? This little girl was arrested for defending her sister. By the way, new facts came out. The other girl, there's a third one, the other girl was already hospitalized from this migrant. This girl was arrested for brandishing bladed weapons. She was defending herself and her sister, but nope, you can't do that in the UK. And as he mentioned, these girls have already been accosted before. Dundee, Scotland is one of many cities, sadly, in the UK that have been riddled with migrant attacks. I can't show the actual raw video because it's just certain words that are used and certain things. I'm not sure if it will pass for this. But if you guys want to see the raw video, all you have to do is go to Twitter, X, type in Dundee Girl, and you'll see everything. Or just go on YouTube, type in Dundee Girl, and you'll see videos like this. What happened to the migrant? Well, to be clear, he also was arrested, but nothing. I mean, nothing was reported about that. You can go on X and you can find the actual reports, the news, the accounts from the Brit perspective, from the UK authorities, and they only mention her. They don't mention anything about the migrant. But what's so shocking is the response. Now, like I mentioned, if you go onto X, let me share this screen here real quick. When you go into X, type in Dundee Girl, you're going to see a wide range of responses. Most of them are calling out the horror that this is. This right here is saying, look, she was terrified for her life. Of course she's armed. Of course she's going to defend herself. Who wouldn't? And what's really cool to see is all the, some actually handmade, some AI created, making tribute to the Lass of Dundee. Where have all the men gone? What has happened? How far has your society fallen when little girls have to arm themselves just walking down the streets? And again, no physical action happened against the migrants. It was one girl protecting her sister, brandishing blades that could have very well have prevented a horrible thing to happen. And by the way, Akkad Daily, the previous video I was showing, I'll put that link in the description here below. He goes into great detail explaining how this horrible trend of grooming gangs, hurting women, hurting kids, has been covered up by local authorities. It has been proven as a real serious issue that's been happening for years. This is simply just one more example of it. But going back to Twitter, or X, I keep calling it Twitter, what's so shocking is when you go down, you start seeing responses from fellow people in the UK, fellow Brits and Scots, who see her as the villain. Right here we go. This post here shows the reports from the local area. And of course, they're calling out misinformation. They're saying, oh, don't listen to what's been showing on the internet. Trust us, we're the authorities. And the authorities are telling the local people, oh no, the girl's the villain. She's the one, she's part of the gang, she had bladed weapons, she's the bad guy. She's the person that's the problem. And it's shocking how many people in the UK, Scots, Brits, are all saying that she's in the wrong. How dare she carry bladed weapons? Now let's be fair. Let's look and see what their rights actually are. Let's go to their constitution, shall we? Constituteproject.org is a wonderful website. This website allows you to read any constitution for every single country in the world. You can easily find yourself in a rabbit hole real quick. But this is what the Constitution of the United Kingdom says. The subjects may have arms for defense suitable to their conditions as allowed by law. So you can defend yourself as long as it's suitable and as long as it's allowed by law. Now, remember how I was saying how so many people in the UK were responding to what that girl did as horrible? Oh, how dare she defend her sister? How dare she carry knives, completely ignoring the actual monster in this situation, which was the migrant? Americans, the majority of Americans were the ones who were paying tribute to the Lass of Dundee, who were calling out the horrible event as it actually was. It was the Americans who were shocked by this. Now, why is that? We all know, patriots, why are we shocked by this? Because in our Constitution, you have this wonderful thing called the Second Amendment. a well-regulated militia, which does not mean military, we're all militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Let's take a step back for a moment. It's so easy for us to just not appreciate the rights we have. Patriots, this is not normal. Look at multiple countries, especially European countries, who have fully embraced multiculturalism, who would much rather side with the migrants and their customs and cultures than their own citizens. In this country, as flawed as America is, as many problems as there are in this country, we have this. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. End of story, move on. To us, it makes complete sense that you have things to defend yourself. Of course you do. Not in the UK. In fact, the UK has websites like this that tell you how to defend yourself as a UK citizen. This is shocking. This is from a UK website. And this is great. Self-defense in the UK is a complex legal concept governed by statutes and case law. Now, let's be clear. From the American perspective, obviously, you can't just go around attacking people. Fair enough. And if you claim self-defense in America, there has to be a legitimate reason why you claim that. But in America, if you are getting attacked, if you are in fear of your life, guess what, patriots? Self-defense. You have every legal right to defend yourself and your loved ones. But not in the UK. Here, the parameters of what's reasonable can vary significantly. There's a little video telling you what you can and can't use to defend yourself. Definitely not bladed weapons. Under UK law, the principle of proportionality is key when discussing self-defense. This means that the level of force individual uses must be proportionate to the threat faced. So, Scotland is the land of my ancestors. That's why this hits home for me personally. And Scotland has truly fallen to what it used to be. Oh, but guess what? This came out yesterday. This is another great YouTube video. I'm going to send this to y'all in the chat here. This is from the Quarter. He spends the first chunk of the video analyzing an academic's perspective on this whole situation and how the girl was in the wrong. But then he brings out the receipts. He shows the perspective of the parents involved. Here's the whole story. I won't read word for word. I'll summarize it. The whole story is this. The hero, the lass of Dundee, is actually named Lola. Her sister, Ruby, and then Maya, Ruby's best friend, were the ones involved. Ruby was Lola's oldest sister. She was the one who was attacked and hospitalized. Maya, Ruby's best friend, was the one with Lola in the video. And she summarizes that the migrant and the migrant's girlfriend, wife, I don't know, they both attacked Ruby earlier. Police were already called against the migrant. And in the video, he's the one recording the video, antagonizing her, goading her to show her the weapons. And if you watch the raw video, you can find it. You could tell she is terrified. She's a little girl who's terrified, and she pulls out a knife and a hatchet to defend herself, to say, look, I am armed. Don't come near me. Do not touch her. And she probably prevented a horrible thing from happening. But the mother sets it straight. She's like, look, my girls were innocent. They were defending themselves. But guess what? The authorities still arrested them. Now, the good news is Lola did post bail, I guess. She's no longer in custody. And there's actually a give, send, go set up. There's only been a few days, and already he explains, was it 32,000 pounds have raised in support of her. And so I know this kind of was long-winded, but let's transition here. The topic of self-defense. What do we as Christians do with that? It's very easy to align ourselves with certain things in Scripture that are easy to align ourselves with, like forgiveness, grace, mercy, love. But what about self-defense? Does Scripture talk about that? Well, it does. So I found some examples for this. Let's start with the first one here. Let me share my screen real quick. And here we go. So this comes from Luke. This is Luke chapter 22, verse 35. Now, this is right before Jesus gets arrested, and he's with his disciples. And he tells them, Jesus is telling his disciples, he said to them, but now whoever has a money belt is to take it along, likewise also a bag, and whoever has no sword is to sell his cloak and buy one. What Christ is telling his disciples is, hey, I need you guys to sell whatever you have and arm yourself. I'm not telling you to go out and attack people. I'm not telling you to hurt innocent people. I'm telling you to be armed. This is right before Jesus gets arrested from the garden. Now, why would Jesus say that? Why would he say, hey, I need you guys to be armed? Because you could easily go back to other verses that say, turn the other cheek. You remember the phrase in the Beatitudes when Jesus preaches to the people saying, you know, you've often heard it said, a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. Jesus preaches, no, don't do that. Do not seek revenge. Do not atone. Do not seek revenge. Do not attack anyone. Do not seek your own version of justice. But there are other places in Scripture that make it clear that you have a duty to defend your loved ones, protect the innocent, defend yourself if you are being attacked and if you are in fear of your life. The next one here is what I just mentioned. Whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other one towards him also. Do not show opposition against an evil person. Whoever slaps you in the right cheek, turn the other cheek. But what Jesus is saying here, the way I interpret it, is that if someone offends you, if someone slights you, if someone does something that's evil against you, that goes beyond physically attacking you, respond with peace, respond with grace, respond with mercy, but also respond with discernment and wisdom. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, patriots, fellow Christians, ultimately we are called to maintain wisdom in our life. As this says here in James 3:17. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peace-loving, gentle, reasonable, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and free of hypocrisy. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. So at the end of the day, we as Christians need to first be wise and be discerning. If you're in a situation where someone offends you, you do not retaliate. We're not supposed to have an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But if your life is at risk, if your loved ones' lives are at risk, and if someone is about to physically hurt you and assault you, you have every right, not just as an American, but also as a Christian, to defend yourself. Not go on the attack, not go on the offensive, but to defend yourself against those who would do you harm. That's the American way, and that's what is said in Scripture. Sadly, it's not that way in the UK. And we as Americans need to be mindful of this. We need to know what's going on, because this may seem like a far-fetched thing, like it would never happen here. Sadly, it could. You could live in a state where tyranny trumps all. You could live in a city where the local law enforcement would much rather protect those who are part of the DEI coalition than actually do their job. But this girl, this 14-year-old girl in Scotland named Lola, had the courage to stand up and protect her loved ones. And again, she didn't do anything physically. She just showed the attacker, the man, the monster who was harassing them, hey, I am armed. Back off. And what happened? He did. But of course, she got arrested. And we as Americans are seeing this and we are shocked by it. But let's not forget, before we are Americans, we are Christian. And as Christians, we are called for wisdom and discernment all the time. And ultimately, God's in charge. Ultimately, Christ our King is the one we kneel to. But yeah, this happened and I'm still shocked by it. I'm still shocked by how many people over there in the UK were treating her as a villain. But the ones that are treating her as a hero, most of them are Americans, which makes complete sense. Right? Anyways, Patriots, that was it for this video. I know it's kind of a few minutes short, but hope everyone had a wonderful week. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Keep up what's going on. If you guys want to learn more about this, just go on X, type in Dundee Girl. Check out the links I put here in the comments. And yeah, Patriots far and wide. God's in charge. Christ is King. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. What I'll do, I'll go and sign us out with that awesome music one more time, just in case if any of y'all missed that. Let's close out strong.
In the gray stone streets of the city of Dundee lived a lass filled with spirit, fearless and free. If my nation refuses to defend my life, I will do it myself with only a knife. The poor lass from Dundee on the banks of the Tay, the law enforcers came and carried her away. For in her hand was cold steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Where are the brave men? Do any remain? The story of Dundee is a story of shame. A people and its nation have been betrayed by those who lust for money to be made. The poor lass from Dundee on the banks of the Tay, the law enforcers came and carried her away. For in her hand was cold steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Arresting the lass has only fanned the flame. Now every nation will know her name. A story and a song about the last of the free. History will remember the fearless lass of Dundee. Oh, the lass from the banks of the Tay, law enforcers have carried her away. For in her hand was steel to fight for her life against an Arab coward who feared her knife. Remember forever the lass of Dundee. Remember your nation was once safe and free before the invaders began crossing the sea. It's time to stand up for the brave lass of Dundee.